Our precious life-bringing star will eventually run out of fuel, become a red giant, and swallow the Earth. So humanity might need to consider a backup planetary system. TRAPPIST-1 might just work. After all, it is a planetary system composed of a star orbited by a whopping 7 Earth-sized rocky exoplanets. Exoplanets are planets outside our solar system. The 7 planets are nestled closer to their star than Mercury is to the Sun, which may sound like a problem. But the TRAPPIST-1 star is an ultra-cool dwarf. According to the European Space Observatory, ESO, ultra-cool dwarf stars are, quote, much cooler and redder than the Sun, and not much larger than Jupiter, unquote. So the TRAPPIST-1 planets can get really close without being burned to a crisp. How would we get there? We would need a generation ship because TRAPPIST-1 is 40 light-years away from our solar system. The problem is, a lot of generations would go by on the journey. The trip would take about 700,000 years using existing technology. If we could invent a spaceship that traveled at 1/4 the speed of light, we could bring that down to a more reasonable 160 years. That's a significant improvement, but we could get there faster by inventing a warp drive like the Alcubierre Drive. The Alcubierre Drive would provide faster-than-light FTL capabilities. This drive is of course speculative. We don't know if such technology is possible, even though it wouldn't defy the laws of physics. Quote, objects cannot accelerate to the speed of light within normal space-time. Instead, the Alcubierre Drive shifts space around an object so that the object would arrive at its destination more quickly than light would in normal space without breaking any physical laws. Unquote. Let's assume for a moment that we could get to TRAPPIST-1. Could we live there? The TRAPPIST-1 system has 7 known Earth-sized planets. 3 of these planets, TRAPPIST-1e, F, and G, are located in the star's habitable zone. In the habitable zone, temperatures are just right for liquid water to exist on the surface. Sounds perfect, right? Before we pack our bags, there is another crucial thing to consider. All the planets are believed to be tidally locked, which means that one side of each of these planets always faces its parent star, while the other side is always in darkness. Based on studies of sleep outcomes during Arctic summers, this could be a problem. According to a Science Direct article, quote, the high Arctic is a particularly strenuous environment for the human circadian system due to the lack of light in the winter months and lack of darkness in the summer months. Of the many problems that may arise from such extremes in photoperiod, greater negative effectiveness and fatigue are common in the winter months, and mild insomnia is common in both the summer and winter months. Unquote. The next thing to consider is oxygen. According to an article on space.com, quote, 1 of 7 planets orbiting a small star, TRAPPIST-1, may be capable of supporting life as we know it on Earth, new climate models suggest. Unquote. They also say, quote, the 7 planets of TRAPPIST-1 would have dense, uninhabitable atmospheres. However, one of the worlds called TRAPPIST-1e may host liquid water on its surface, and as a result, be able to support Earth-like life. Unquote. An uninhabitable atmosphere doesn't have to be a deal breaker. After all, settlements on the Moon or Mars would likely be underground. An uninhabitable atmosphere doesn't have to be a deal breaker if we have very few options. After all, settlements on the Moon or Mars would likely be underground. Here's another major selling point for TRAPPIST-1e. It has 93% of the surface gravity of Earth. Compare this to Mars. which is only about 38%. The pros of TRAPPIST-1e are that it has liquid water and similar surface gravity to Earth. The cons are that we would have to live underground and wear a spacesuit to go outside. But if we desperately need a new planet, it might be a solid choice. And there is one other upside. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, the view would be breathtaking.
Quote,
if you were to stand on the surface of one of these planets, you would clearly see the other planets in the system, and some of them, at certain times, would appear even larger than our moon appears to us.
Unquote.
Thanks for watching. Check the description for links, and don't forget to like and subscribe.